welcome. Hey, I appreciate you being here. This is awesome. We love having you ask your questions because today
is something we don't do very often.
Oh, that is true.
It's shameless self-promotion.
Shameless self-promotion.
Well,
and there may or may not be tables.
There may or may not be. Yes, of course. Let me see. There are graphs.
There are graphs.
Graphs. No, there are tables. Of course, we can't shamelessly self-promote without graphs and tables.
No, this is good. Actually, I love this. This is our foundations for success.
Yeah, and I think we wanted to take you guys through it because a lot of times it's something that, a lot of our customers, they want to. It answers the main questions that they might have when they first start out. This is kind of geared toward someone who's getting started, but it also is geared towards people who are looking for, other equipment or other services. For example, if you're looking to do GMP or if you're looking to get into some consulting services. Yep. So we're going to just talk about what our product offering is because it's pretty big. We have a lot of different pieces of equipment. Mm-hmm. We generally, this podcast is mostly devoted towards education, and we've been doing that now for many, many, many months, right? So we put out all kinds of content, just, purely educational pretty much. Yeah, we're just going to take you through this Foundations for Success.
One of the things to note, we do give a lot of education, and we appreciate your responses and questions. They add to our education, being able to answer those questions, FAQs. Yeah. One of the things that's nice about Foundations for Success is that this is our most requested guide.
Right.
It is sent out the most.
Right. And, a lot of people have seen it in the past. I'd say hundreds of people have seen this. Our competitors try to copy it,
I would even venture to say thousands. This has gone out a lot.
Yeah.
And we do. So we're going to go through that today. And, the other things that, we have are, all of our previous podcasts, the tour, the 5-ton-a-day tour, the Cannabis 101. You guys are doing a lot. We're getting a lot of requests for getting certifications for our courses. We got a lot of courses now. And right now they're free. So check them out. Anyway, this is awesome. Theory guides, data decides.
Data decides. That's right.
I like it.
It's a variation on Professor Koltoff's theory guides. Experiment decides. But since we take a lot of data, and the data crunches, once you crunch the data,
yes,
the results of the data,
let the data decide. Right?
Don't
just follow the data.
Don't just follow, the ideas.
Is that it?
Are
we done? Is that the foundation for success?
Here it is. Enjoy our free resources, podcast, product tours, mini courses, and guides and calculators. Okay, let's get started
ahead.
Here.
Okay. Well, look at this.
We help meet their customers' needs. We help customers meet their needs. So
we help you meet your customers'
needs. That's correct. So educate, reduce, clarify, cost, quality, compliance, experience. This is what, pretty much after talking to thousands and thousands of customers, it all boils down to, needing one of these things. Sometimes they come to us, first of all, just in their buying journey, by just looking for education resources. Yeah. So we've put all kinds of items
Sometimes
out
that's
there.
2 years, sometimes that's 2 weeks.
And it doesn't matter to us. We may bother you with a couple emails here and then there, but we're just there to, continuously, because we always put out new content.
Yes.
And so there's lots of stuff. So we're just putting out there. If you like it, imbibe it. If not, just wait for the next set, because we're dealing with looking at many different types of customers.
And we don't mind if you pass it along either.
Yeah, right, exactly.
You might know somebody
who
needs it.
Reduce confusion over conflicting information from vendors.
Wow.
There's a lot of I think that the industry is extremely tribal in the sense that
yes.
all our knowledge and we have a pretty tight knit group.
Yeah.
And we tend to really we tend to really get off on trends and just be very, very tribal about our knowledge. And what we've always tried to do is just bring it back to the point of data and the point of science, and just make sure that the tribal knowledge is guided by science. So that's basically what we'll be doing. And a lot of times has to do with when a customer tries to really start to create something, they're going to talk to maybe 100 different vendors.
Yes.
Okay, and
Always.
the vendors, the people you talk to at the vendor shops, the sales guys or the technical liaisons, they may not have the full picture, right?
Correct.
And so oftentimes you get conflicting information. It's very confusing for the customer because there's so many people vying for that person's attention. Once he puts out a shingle and says, hey, I'm in the market, you are going to get inundated by all kinds of people making all kinds of weird claims. And there are lots of odd claims out there.
There are.
So also clarify confusion over various recommendations from consultants. We also see, typically, typically someone will start off by getting a couple consultants.
Yes.
And the problem with that is not necessarily the problem. We work with consultants all the time.
All the time.
For sure.
We love them.
But consultants also have their way of doing things.
Yes.
Okay. And the perfect job of a consultant is to destroy whatever else anybody else is trying to do so that you can and poo-poo it. And usually, maybe they may be right, and most of the time they're wrong. A good consultant will see, what has been done so far, and then build on what has been done. Not try to tear everything down to the point where it's not. You have to only rely on that piece of information.
And a lot of times consultants go with what they know because even if it might not be the data, it's telling you this is the right way to go.
Right.
They know it well enough to get you running, going, moving faster with a flow they know,
right,
rather than taking that discomfort and shifting to a better way.
Now, what happens, however, in the case of a process, if you're trying to put it together, if you have 3 different or 4 different consultants and they're all putting together a different piece of the process, what happens is you end up with a Frankenstein.
Yes.
So
Kludgy.
that's a big problem because you're talking about emerging issues. When you integrate systems together, they don't really integrate well together because you have too many cooks in the kitchen.
Well said.
Okay, cost. Obtain the highest value at the lowest cost. Who doesn't want that? That's pretty much the primary business objective, right? And cost means capital cost and operating cost. You can buy something for $1 million, but if it has $10 million in value and use, you have basically accrued to yourself $9 million in value.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not just the operating cost or just even the capital cost.
Correct.
Quality, having equipment that produce the high quality and flexible oil options. So the process that you put in place in your systems and the equipment that you purchase will have various it'll have various outputs, right?
Yes.
And those outputs can be used for certain things. If you only have one output, you are reducing the amount of products that you can deliver to your potential customers, or even the number of products that you're able to use for formulations.
We were talking yesterday about terpenes versus terp sauce.
Right.
Right? We were talking about that yesterday. We're talking about crude oil.
Or just leaving all the waxes in the raffinate.
Yeah.
Those waxes actually are quite valuable.
Yeah.
You can get organic waxes out.
Absolutely.
Why are you throwing those away? Okay, so that's the other thing. Or pure terpenes versus, like you said, terp sauce. Good point. Okay, I'm going to create distillate versus a winterized oil, right? Okay. And then so you need to have the right equipment, the right processes, the right procedures to produce those high quality oils in the various forms that you need them for your different products that you have.
Yep.
Terp sauce is great for vapor pens, right? It is.
Yes.
Okay, compliance, helping navigate compliance. This is where people who say, hey, I have a need to do.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. There's the smallest slide, and it is the most questioned.
Oh, yeah. Right. How do I maintain exactly? How do I maintain compliance? Right.
Okay. What's GMP? What's CGMP? What's GPP? What's EU GMP? What's pharma GMP? What's biopharma?
And why
GMP?
do I need them? And which one applies to me? And really, that all goes back to your business objective.
Bingo.
What is it? What's your business objective in 12 months, and what's your business objective in like a year or 3 years? Get that picture in your head, because it's going to change what you do today.
Yep.
And that would include things like if you're going to do, for example, my business is export. Okay, well then you need to buy certain equipment. You need to have certain ways of operating. Yep. It's going to cost you a lot of money to get there, so you better make sure that you understand.
And
your
you make sure
objective.
you build your user required specification, the URS, to that compliance
Correct.
need.
Yeah, well, that's correct. That goes for facilities, processes, procedures, SOPs, whatever
Product,
you got,
surface
along product,
finishes.
surface finish, commissioning, maintenance, calibrations, all that
A
stuff.
long
So,
list, yes.
and then experience. They oftentimes a customer will put things to get. They'll try to get someone who has experience.
Yes.
And the person in that experiential role oftentimes has one experience.
Yes.
Okay, a lot like a consultant.
Yes.
They may and so you might have multiple cooks in the kitchen. Okay. Sometimes what someone with experience will say, look, what we really want is we want you to do everything and I want to take no responsibility. Okay, well, you're going to be doing some work if you're going to create. Okay, there's no such thing as hire this company and they're going to find you your license, they're going to get you your building, they're going to get you your facility, they're going to build out your facility, they're going to run your facility.
That level of turnkey
and
is a pipe
they
dream.
just give you a check at the end of the day with all your profits. Okay, that doesn't happen. Okay,
No, never.
So what people say when they look at turnkey, they say, hey, look, we have an array, a set of offerings that really imbibe all the experience that we've had putting hundreds of people into the business, and we give that experience to you, and that's it's consulting, it's equipment, it's facilities, it's drawings and things like that. So
we have a very robust offering all the way through this.
That's so we put hundreds of customers into the business. I mean,
we have
facility designs. Here's our offering: equipment, training of the processes on GMP equipment libraries. Laboratory and formulations. We've put laboratories up for people, for example. Formulations, giving to them people standard formulations. What do you need? Do you need a gummy formulation? Okay, you can buy that from us. Do you need a vapor formulation? Okay, you can buy that from us. Do you need something like, some other like a water soluble formulation? You can buy that from us as a standard offering. Okay, we'll help you with the documentation. GMP consulting is another example. So audit certification, Internet of Things, IoT and IoT software. It's huge, and it really is kind of the glue that pulls everything together.
It really is.
It's the information and material flow data system that pulls everything together. So we have all the elements of a very, very nice offering.
This is good.
So here are our three uniques.
Yes.
Lowest cost, highest throughput equipment. They go hand in hand.
They do
actually.
go through hand in hand.
Turnkey equipment, facilities consulting, and then GMP compliance support. These are the three things that we do very, very well.
And the one thing that is interesting about this that I get back when I'm talking to the subject matter experts all the way up to the C-suite execs and the investors, the biggest thing that comes back is that we are one of the few companies that actually do it.
Yeah.
We don't just build and say, all right, now go. We execute on all of this. We have a facility, we have equipment, we're running it, we're doing it. We have lots of arrows in our backs.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, to get to the point where you have all that knowledge, it really takes a lot of, a lot of trial by error, plus a lot of investment on our own. We have a very large demo facility that we use, and we're always making mistakes there, so we don't have to make mistakes in
It's a very large R&D facility.
Yeah. make mistakes in your dime
and
rather than
awesome. But
a lot of
what you're doing.
I know when I first started out, I have to admit we made mistakes on the customer's dime, and we were always there to fix it, so they had the best customer support while we got through that. But there were issues that we had to come through, and in order to really be successful.
Sure.
Okay. What we've done is we've switched that equation around. Now we're doing the R&D on our own dime. So you're getting, the best foot forward that we can possibly put forth to you guys.
Yep.
And, it's not straightforward. There's always problems. There's always little things that happen in when you're starting up. I mean, there's always, you're talking about usually multi-million-dollar contracts. You're talking about, year-long projects. You're talking about multiple teams all trying to work together.
Yeah, and improvements in value. Yeah. One of the things that we've talked about is, our chromatography, for example, our Pier 99, as we're developing that, we're continuing to R&D and develop that. And if you place the order, 6 weeks ago, by the time it comes out, you've got 3 new iterations of that machine with that much more value in that machine than what you originally bought.
Right.
It's very cool what we do here.
Right.
You do a great job.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
High throughput drives low cost. Okay, so we're just kind of going to go through these 3 uniques in order and kind of show you what it is that we do. There was a large we weren't the first to market when it came to CO2 extraction. There were a lot of, well, not a lot, only actually a handful of customers who entered the market early. They had an existing piece of equipment, and they decided to go after the market. Okay, and CO2 extraction has been around for many, many years. At least a half a decade. So it's very old and very well known technique. So there's no real IP. It's just a matter of methods and how you use those methods, and what you put in the vessel can be wildly varying. Okay,
Yes.
People were doing extractions of different things using CO2 for a long time. Different pressures, different temperatures. Going back even to the 50s. So very, very old and very well known.
Yeah. And just so you know, that even today we do milk products. We do lavender, jasmine, sea cucumber, which is the most unusual.
Sea cucumber, yes. Let's take that sea cucumber, and then the hot peppers too. So we're gonna make you taste that someday.
Oh, yay! Aren't you excited?
4 million heat units.
My eyes are already watering.
It would be good. It would be good. Okay. So the first gen equipment kind of gave the whole technique a black eye. It was slow. It was clunky. It was really large. It was not energy efficient.
That was
Oftentimes
loud.
you had to have a very loud
Piston.
You had to have a very large amount of power, mostly because the recompression into gas and things like that. So we put out a second gen CO2 technology thinking we could innovate, and we did innovate in the marketplace. It's just, a lot of people were just wondering about how to scale a 4 to 6 hour run with 20 liters and a 5,000 square foot requirement and with 200 kVA.
Sure.
For that. So they're kind of wondering how to scale that. They couldn't scale it. It was pretty obvious. So a lot of people started looking around. Back in 2015, 2016, we started to do ethanol extractions because we were thinking that's the key. So we were doing cryogenic ethanol at minus 40 degrees. That method worked out really well, but we ended up, discarding it because of the cost associated with, ethanol reuse.
Sure.
And ethanol. You had to continuously, reuse your ethanol, and by batch for cross contamination and GMP requirements, it just wasn't economically feasible. And
Sure.
then, you lose maybe anywhere from 3 to 5% of the ethanol every time you try to recover it.
Yep.
And then it was raffinate, wasn't very. You couldn't compost it because so there was hazardous waste associated with it. So all that stuff is the reason why we chose to innovate primarily in CO2, and people know us as a CO2 company, even though we do ethanol extraction. So this is a graph showing the lowest cost offering and why we say it's low cost.
Sure.
A lot of people look at CO2 and they got a perception of the olden days with the big pieces of units. Say, I'll never go back there. Well, I think you need to look at new data when it comes up and new equipment, and really kind of look at, comparison of methods. And you really need to understand, okay, what am I really saying? If I said, hey, why don't you, if you could save on the order of $4 to $5 million, would you listen for 20 minutes?
Yes.
Okay. In a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go.
So that's exactly what I'm going to show right now. Okay?
That's awesome.
So this is why we say it's low cost offering, folks. It has to do with the use of ethanol and the cost of ethanol in terms of heating and cooling, and the losses of ethanol associated with the loss of ethanol associated with basically not recovering all of it. And I got some statistics right here that are really, really telling for the reasons why this slope here is the cumulative cost over time. This is over 12 months. And this slope here, this is for ethanol. And this slope here is the cumulative cost for CO2. Now, it's also including the capital equipment. So you can see there's a marginal increase in the amount of money it takes to do. This is at fixed amount per day that you're doing, fixed amount of biomass per day. And you can see that there's a marginal increase, but then you can see that the slope is a lot less. That's why CO2 costs a lot less, just because it's not accumulating as much cost. So here are the reasons: 18x less energy use compared to ethanol.
Sure.
what happens
18
is
times.
18 times, right?
Not 18%.
No.
18 times.
Right. Take whatever number you're getting and take it times 18. That's because you're taking ethanol, you're from room temperature, you're bringing it down to -40, you're cooling it. That's costing a lot of kilowatts. Then you're boiling it off, evaporating it, recondensing it, which is also costing you more, and then doing it again and again and again. The more cycles you do, the more it's going to cost you. So it's very energy intensive. 125 times less solvent cost. So that's times, yeah. So certainly, we always advocate doing some winterization in ethanol with CO2 extracts, but you're using a little tiny bit. This number right here is taking that into account. But so you do have a solvent cost associated with both. You do have losses with both, but because you're using so much less ethanol with the CO2, you're just basically, your costs for ethanol are a lot less. Now, this is loss, solvent loss, okay? So there's no such thing as 100% recovery. I mean, you could do it, but it would be like not economically viable, okay? Usually people shoot for, 95 to 97% recovery, and that's what they do. A lot of times the ethanol gets entrained in the biomass, and it can't actually get out even under huge G-forces, which they use centrifuges and things for. So you still have that 125. It's like physisorbed or chemisorbed on there. Okay. 6x less solvent startup cost. So actually, I think that is actually a little bit, I don't know if I agree with that number, but I'll go with it. Certainly, the CO2 per pound is like, if you're getting it in bulk, it's like 4 cents a pound. Okay.
Sure. Yep.
You're talking that versus $16 to $31 for a gallon of ethanol. And then a lot of people want to use denatured ethanol with chemical contaminants in it. They can go ahead and do that, no problem. But, they're not going to get much better than those prices, maybe $7. It doesn't even matter. No matter what you do, that this line, it may change the slope a little bit. Sorry, but it's not going to. It's not going to ever approach the costs, the cumulative costs of CO2. Here's a big one.
394 times less cost of solvent reuse.
And changeover cost. Okay, so GMP requires that you change out your janky ethanol over time. Okay,
Does it say that in the specification?
You can't just
Change
use
out
it
your
again and again
janky
and again and again
ethanol.
forever. Okay, because it's going to build up contaminants. It's going to build up. In fact, if you have pesticides in there, one of the main concerns is that the pesticides are going to continuously go around. They're going to co-distill as an azeotrope, and the GMP and GPP processes typically require that with each lot or each batch that you switch out your solvent and that you validate it, how many times you're going to use it, and you have that data available for the regulators when they come to look. Okay, those are FDA guidance and also EU guidance, EU GMP guidance.
Yep.
You can't just keep on using it. Solvents have a lifetime. So what happens is the solvents, suppose you have 10 units and they're all running at, 30 gallons each, so that's 300 gallons.
Sure.
Okay, you do one lot, and then you have to throw all that away. You have to manifest it. Yeah. You have to manifest it. Okay, at the end of the lot, because you don't want cross-contamination, okay? If you end up doing a validation and you say, okay, yeah, I can bring it back to its original state and I can use it, you have to have, it's not an unlimited lifetime. No. So a lot of people really think that it is unlimited lifetime. It gets janky. There's stuff that gets in there. It's not good. I don't know if you ever smelled like ethanol that's been used in 50 cycles or 60 cycles. It doesn't smell good even when it's been distilled. So that's something you need to think about. And then 3x less infrastructure cost. Those are the costs associated with the infrastructure. Yeah. Okay. So,
because you need explosion-proof rooms, you need different things with ethanol and things. Yeah,
right.
You need to. Yeah, infrastructure is much more expensive.
Right. So this is the cost aspect of it. I think what we're going to do now is we'll stop this. We're at about 25 minutes, and we'll continue this next week in a part 2.
This is good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's we have a lot more of this to go through, but I'm going through it in a lot more detail than what a normal person would do. Yeah. But just for you guys and for your benefit, to just show you, hey, look, we got value here. We'd love to work with your operation. We'd love to work with your company. And we think that we have the lowest cost offering by far of anybody in the industry,
Yes.
period.
And
So-
that is a combo of CapEx and operating costs. So, give our territory guys a call.
Yeah.
Talk to us on Drift. We'll set up a call with you anytime. We can go through any of this, answer your questions. We have post-extraction solutions. You mentioned earlier we're known as a CO2 company, but we have post-extraction solutions for ethanol companies that are big customers of ours for solvent removal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for distillation
Absolutely.
and for chromatography. We do all of that.
Right.
And it's really good. So we embrace the entire industry. We want to elevate and help you with your business. That's why this is a foundation for success. We're not trying to push any of our solution on you. Yes, we want you to buy our equipment, but we want you to succeed, and this is partly how we do that. And that's offering the lowest cost with the highest throughput to get you these kinds of savings.
Yeah, I think, some people were talking to us about that. I was talking on the phone and, some people have had, bad experiences with CO2 in the past.
Yeah.
So they don't want anything to do with it. And because they were running a different, first gen system and they just have a mindset and they want to do, that's no problem. I mean, we have lots of offerings. Like you said.
And back in that day,
No
it was
problem at all.
clunky stuff.
It was.
And it was double the price.
It was.
And
yeah.
now, with the economy of scale we've been able to put into this, we're just marginally more expensive from a capital cost, but infinitely lower in operating costs.
Right.
Lower. So
So-
it's very cool.
Yeah, so thanks for joining us.
Thank
and,
you.
And please join us for the second part. I think here's what we're
Yes.
going to go over. We're going to go over sustainability factors. You won't want to miss that. We're going to go over some of the throughput factors, so you don't want to miss that either. And then also our GMP offering. So we're going to talk a little bit about, what is our GMP offering and why you think that would be good for you. So,
Excellent. So we'll see you next time. Thank you for being here. Set up calls. We'd love to talk to you
Yeah.
specifically. So
Thanks.
talk to you soon.
Bye now.
Thanks.